Chosen one, listen carefully. There is a specific work you were sent to complete on this earth, not a random job, not a temporary assignment, not something society handed you, a divine assignment. And here is the part most people never realize. Until you finish the work you were called to do, nothing else will truly prosper. You can chase money, you can chase relationships, you can chase status, recognition, platforms, applause. But if your foundational assignment remains unfinished, life will feel blocked. Doors will open halfway, people will leave unexpectedly, opportunities will collapse right before they stabilize. And you'll keep wondering, why does nothing fully stick? It's not punishment, it's alignment. Chosen ones are not allowed to build on the wrong foundation. You are not here to live accidentally. You are here on assignment. The reason you've always felt different, the reason you could never fully blend in, the reason normal life feels suffocating, is because your spirit knows you have work to complete. Biblically, look at Jeremiah. Before he ever spoke a word publicly, before he stood before kings, God told him, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." Set apart. That is the chosen one experience. You were set apart before you were understood. But here is the danger. Distraction. The enemy cannot cancel your calling, so he distracts you from finishing it. He fills your mind with comparison. He floods your life with drama. He tempts you with good opportunities that are not your assignment. Chosen one, you must finish your work first, before saving everyone else, before proving yourself to doubters, before trying to build 10 different dreams at once. There is one core work heaven assigned you, and until you complete it, your spirit will remain restless. If this message already feels like confirmation, type, "I will finish my assignment," in the comments. That declaration matters. When chosen ones speak alignment out loud, it activates conviction. And if this channel speaks to your spirit, support this mission with a super thanks. You're not just supporting content, you're strengthening a voice that reminds chosen ones who they are. Now let's go deeper. There is a reason urgency is rising in you lately. You feel time differently. You feel like something is accelerating. That is not anxiety, that is awareness. Chosen ones are entering a season where excuses are no longer tolerated by their own spirit. You've prayed enough. You've researched enough. You've waited enough. Now it is execution. Even Jesus Christ said, "I must work the works of him who sent me while it is day. Night is coming." That is urgency. He knew his assignment. He did not let public opinion redirect him. He did not allow comfort to delay him. Chosen one, neither can you. You are not behind. You are being called forward. Chosen one, let's correct something immediately. The work you are called to do on earth is not primarily a career. It is not a job title. It is not a business model. It is not even a ministry platform. Those are vehicles. The work is deeper. Most chosen ones waste years trying to find the right job, when heaven is waiting for them to finish the inner assignment first. Your first work is transformation. Before impact comes identity. Before influence comes refinement. Before visibility comes purification. Look at Moses. He was called to deliver a nation. That was the visible mission. But before that happened, he spent 40 years in the wilderness. 40. Not building a brand. Not gathering followers. Not performing miracles. He was being transformed. The wilderness was not delay. It was preparation. Chosen one, your isolation seasons were not punishment. They were construction zones. Heaven does not release power into unprepared character. That is why your life has felt slow at times, because the real work began within you. You had to unlearn fear. You had to detach from approval addiction. You had to confront pride. You had to survive betrayal. You had to break generational cycles. That was work. And here's what most people don't understand. Chosen ones carry generational assignments. You are not just fixing your own life. You are correcting bloodline patterns. That's why your battles felt heavier than your friends' battles. You were fighting inherited limitations. Biblically, look at Joseph. Before he governed Egypt, he was betrayed by brothers, falsely accused, imprisoned. That was not random suffering. That was internal strengthening. Prison taught him patience. Betrayal taught him emotional discipline. Isolation taught him reliance on God alone. When he finally stepped into leadership, he was unshakable. Chosen one, if your character had not been forged, your future would have crushed you. So the first work you must finish is internal alignment. You must finish forgiving. You must finish healing. You must finish building discipline. You must finish surrendering ego, because unfinished inner work sabotages outer success. This is why some chosen ones reach platforms too early and collapse. Their gift was ready. Their character was not. And heaven protects assignments from being destroyed by premature exposure. Your life may feel delayed, but it is actually being stabilized. The real question is this: have you finished your internal assignment, or are you still blaming others for lessons you were meant to master? Chosen one, the work is refinement. When your heart is clean, your vision sharpens. When your motives are pure, doors open differently. When your identity is secure, distractions lose power. And once that inner work is complete, the external mission accelerates quickly, because now nothing inside you is fighting against what God is trying to build through you. Chosen one, this is the part most people don't want to hear. When you ignore your real assignment, life begins to resist you. Not because God is against you, not because you're cursed, but because you are misaligned. There is a difference between effort and obedience. You can work hard and still feel stuck. You can pray daily and still feel frustrated. You can start projects and never see them fully thrive. Why? Because you are trying to build something before finishing what heaven asked you to complete first. Look at Jonah. He was given one clear instruction: go to Nineveh. Instead, he chose a different direction. What happened? Storms, not small inconveniences. Storm-level resistance. The sea did not cooperate. The ship did not stay stable. Peace disappeared. That wasn't coincidence. That was misalignment correction. Chosen one, some of the storms in your life were not attacks. They were redirections. You tried to run from the uncomfortable part of your assignment. Maybe it was speaking truth. Maybe it was starting that thing you keep delaying. Maybe it was walking away from something that drains your calling. So instead of clarity, you got confusion. Instead of flow, you got friction. When chosen ones operate outside their assignment, the grace lifts. Not permanently, but noticeably. Things feel heavier. Decisions feel forced. Energy feels drained. But when you step back into alignment, something shifts. Momentum returns. You stop chasing and start attracting. You stop forcing and start flowing, because now you are cooperating with heaven's blueprint. Here's the truth most won't say. You cannot prioritize comfort over calling. You cannot say yes to everything and still protect your assignment. Some of you are exhausted because you're doing 10 things, except the one thing you were actually sent to do. Your real work may not be glamorous yet. It may not be paying yet. It may not be recognized yet, but it is required. Even Apostle Paul understood this urgency. He said, "Woe to me if I do not preach the gospel." That wasn't ego. That was responsibility. Chosen ones feel that weight. There's a quiet pressure inside you, a knowing, a whisper that says you're meant for more, but not more of everything, more of the right thing. And here is the dangerous pattern. When you avoid your core work, you compensate. You overwork, you overconsume, you overcommit, you overexplain yourself. But deep down, there's something unfinished. And until it's completed, peace will feel temporary. Chosen one, this is not condemnation, it's clarity. The resistance you feel is a signal, not a sentence. Ask yourself honestly, what have I been postponing? What conversation have I been avoiding? What project have I been delaying? What obedience step have I been rationalizing? Because finishing your assignment unlocks authority. Chosen one, hear this clearly. The greatest threat to your calling is not failure. It is distraction. Failure can teach you. Failure can refine you. Failure can redirect you. But distraction quietly steals years. It keeps you busy without being effective, active without being aligned, productive without being purposeful. And the dangerous part? Distraction rarely looks evil. It looks harmless. It looks urgent. It even looks good. You say yes to helping everyone. You say yes to opportunities that flatter your ego. You say yes to things that pay quickly, but pull you away slowly. And suddenly, your core assignment is sitting untouched. Chosen ones are targeted with distraction because you carry impact. The enemy does not need to destroy you if he can simply delay you. Look at Nehemiah. He was rebuilding Jerusalem's wall. Focused, clear, intentional. Then came invitations. Come down and meet with us. It sounded reasonable. It sounded diplomatic. It sounded productive. But Nehemiah understood something powerful. He said, I am doing a great work and I cannot come down. That is discipline. Chosen one, your life changes when you learn to say, I cannot come down. You cannot come down to arguments. You cannot come down to proving yourself. You cannot come down to every opportunity. You cannot come down to every relationship, because your assignment requires altitude. and distraction always pulls downward. Some of you feel spiritually drained, not because you're under attack, but because you're overexposed. Too much noise, too many opinions, too many commitments. Chosen ones require intentional solitude. Even Jesus Christ constantly withdrew from crowds to pray. If the Son of God protected his focus, how much more should you? You do not owe everyone access to you. You owe heaven completion. Let that sink in. Your assignment is not a hobby. It is a responsibility, and distraction often attacks right before breakthrough. That is why lately things may have felt unusually chaotic. Unexpected drama, random conflicts, sudden emotional heaviness. When you get close to finishing something important, resistance increases. Not because you are weak, because you are near completion. Here is a hard truth. If you do not guard your focus, someone else will consume it. And whatever consumes your focus controls your future. Chosen one, evaluate your life. What consistently pulls your energy? What conversations leave you drained? What activities feel urgent but not purposeful? Those are clues. Finishing your work requires ruthless clarity. You cannot build legacy while entertaining distraction. Chosen one, this part may explain your entire life. When you finally decide to focus on your real work, something strange happens. People drift. Invitations decrease. Conversations shift. Access changes. And if you are not spiritually aware, you will interpret this as rejection. But it is not rejection, it is elevation. There is a level of work you cannot complete in crowded rooms. There is clarity that only comes in quiet seasons. There is strength that only develops when applause is absent. Look at David. Before the throne, there was the field. Before the crown, there was isolation. David was anointed king while still tending sheep. Imagine that. Anointed but hidden. Chosen but unseen. He fought lions and bears with no audience. That was not random wilderness living. That was private preparation. Chosen one, your isolated seasons are not wasted years. They are training grounds. When God separates you, it is rarely punishment. It is positioning, because the work you are called to finish requires depth. And depth cannot grow in constant noise. Some of you have been crying about lost friendships. But those friendships were built around who you were, not who you are becoming. Growth rearranges relationships. When your focus sharpens, not everyone fits your direction anymore. That does not make you arrogant. It makes you aligned. Even Elijah experienced this. After powerful public victories, he was sent into isolation. Not because he failed, but because he needed recalibration. In solitude, God speaks clearly. In solitude, motives are purified. In solitude, identity is strengthened. Chosen one, the work you must finish requires emotional independence. If you still need constant validation, you will abandon your assignment the moment criticism appears. Isolation breaks approval addiction. It forces you to know who you are without an audience. And here is something powerful. When you stop chasing connection and start chasing completion, the right connections eventually return, but they return aligned. Your circle gets smaller. Your peace gets stronger. Your clarity gets sharper. And suddenly you realize something. You were never alone. You were being refined. The reason some people cannot go where you are going is because they are not assigned to that level of your journey. And that is okay. You are not called to be understood by everyone. You are called to finish your work. Let me ask you something serious. If everyone walked away tomorrow, would you still obey your calling? If no one applauded, would you still build? If no one validated, would you still move forward? That answer reveals your maturity. Chosen one, elevation requires separation. Chosen one, let's talk about that weight you've been carrying, that internal pressure, that sense that time is moving differently for you, that feeling that you cannot afford to waste another year repeating the same cycle. That is not anxiety. It is purpose pressing on you. When you are chosen, you feel responsibility early. You mature faster. You think deeper. You question more. While others are comfortable drifting, you feel urgency. It is because your spirit recognizes assignment. Look at Esther. She was placed in the palace, but there came a moment of pressure, a decision, a risk. Mordecai told her something powerful. Who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Such a time as this. Chosen one, you are alive in this generation for a reason. Not by accident, not randomly, not coincidentally. And when purpose awakens, pressure follows. Because calling demands action. Some of you feel restless because you have outgrown your current level. The conversations feel shallow. The routines feel repetitive. The excuses feel heavy. You cannot keep pretending you don't know what you're supposed to do. That pressure is heaven saying, move. Even Apostle Paul described feeling compelled, driven, constrained by purpose. When you are chosen, obedience stops being optional. You can delay it, but you cannot escape it. And the longer you delay, the heavier the pressure becomes. Because unfinished assignments create internal tension. Here's the truth. The weight you feel is not because you are failing. It is because you are capable. Average people do not feel destiny. Average people do not wrestle with calling. Average people are comfortable blending in. But you have never been comfortable staying small. That's not pride. That's awareness. However, pressure mishandled turns into fear. If you interpret calling as burden instead of honor, you will resist it. But when you understand it properly, everything changes. Pressure is proof of potential. Gold is formed under pressure. Diamonds are created under pressure. Leaders are refined under pressure. Chosen ones are activated under pressure. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is this preparing me for? The tension you feel is stretching capacity. You are being expanded internally so that when influence arrives, you can sustain it. If your spirit feels like it's accelerating, that means transition is near. But transition requires decision. You cannot stay in preparation forever. You cannot keep rehearsing without performing. Chosen one, the pressure you feel is pushing you to finish what you started. That book idea, that ministry vision, that business blueprint, that conversation you've been avoiding. The longer you sit on it, the heavier it feels. Because purpose unused becomes frustration, but purpose embraced becomes momentum. Chosen one, this is where many lose years. Not because they are incapable, not because they are unqualified, but because fear learns how to sound intelligent. Fear rarely says, I'm scared. Instead, it says, wait a little longer, do more research, make sure it's perfect. Now isn't the right time. And it sounds reasonable. It even sounds wise. But underneath it is avoidance. Chosen ones often sabotage their own assignment because they mistake fear for discernment. Discernment protects you from danger. Fear protects you from growth. They feel similar, but they produce different results. Discernment brings clarity and peace. Fear brings hesitation and overthinking. Look at Gideon. When he was called a mighty warrior, he did not feel mighty. He felt small. He questioned. He doubted. He asked for signs. Now understand this clearly. God was not offended by his questions, but there came a moment when confirmation had to turn into action. Chosen one, some of you have received enough confirmation already. You've prayed. You've fasted. You've asked for signs. You've waited for clarity. At some point, waiting becomes hiding. And hiding feels safe. Because if you never fully step into your assignment, you never risk public failure. But here's the deeper truth. Delayed obedience is quiet disobedience. That may sound heavy, but it's freeing when you understand it. You are not waiting on God. You are waiting on courage. And courage is not the absence of fear. It is movement despite fear. Even Peter had to step out of the boat before he could walk on water. The miracle did not meet him in comfort. It met him in movement. Chosen one, your next level is waiting on your step. Not your perfection, not your full confidence, not universal approval, just your step. Fear also disguises itself as humility. You say, I'm not ready. You say, someone else could do it better. You say, I don't want attention, but sometimes that is not humility. It is avoidance of responsibility. When heaven calls you, declining out of insecurity does not make you modest. It makes you misaligned. You were not chosen because you were flawless. You were chosen because you were willing, and willingness activates empowerment. Let me ask you something serious. If you knew you could not fail spiritually, what would you start today? That hesitation you feel right now, that's the battlefield. Fear wants you comfortable. Calling wants you active. Fear wants you calculating every possible outcome. Calling wants you obedient in the present. Chosen one, stop rehearsing your future and start building it. You do not need another year of preparation. You need a moment of courage. Chosen one, something powerful happens when you finally commit to finishing your assignment. Your authority changes. Not loud authority. Not ego-driven authority. Spiritual authority. There is a difference between someone who talks about purpose and someone who walks in it. When you fully step into what you were called to do, people feel it before they understand it. Your voice carries weight. Your decisions carry clarity. Your presence carries stability. Why? Because alignment produces authority. Look at Joseph again. When he was immature, he had dreams but no influence. He talked about destiny, but his character was still developing. After the process, after betrayal, after prison, after growth, when he finally stepped into leadership in Egypt, Pharaoh recognized something different. There was wisdom, there was composure, there was divine insight. Authority had matured. Chosen one, finishing your work matures your authority. Many want influence without completion, but incomplete people leak insecurity. They react emotionally. They seek validation. They over-explain themselves. When you finish your inner and foundational work, you stop reacting. You respond. Even Jesus Christ did not begin public ministry until preparation was complete. After the wilderness, after the testing, after the fasting, then he returned in the power of the Spirit. Notice that phrase. Power followed preparation. Authority followed obedience. Chosen one, some of you are waiting for people to respect you. But respect is a byproduct of alignment. When you stop second-guessing your calling, others stop questioning it too. You don't have to demand recognition. You radiate conviction. And here is something deeper. Spiritual authority shifts atmospheres. Rooms respond differently. Conversations shift. Opportunities align. Not because you are trying harder, but because you are no longer divided internally. Division weakens authority. When part of you is committed and part of you is afraid, your energy feels unstable. But when you fully commit to finishing your work, something locks in. You become steady, and steadiness attracts trust. Chosen one, this is why finishing your assignment before doing other things is critical. Half-built identity produces half-impact. But completed obedience produces clear authority. You will notice something interesting when you step fully in. Some people will become uncomfortable around you, not because you changed negatively, but because clarity exposes confusion. When you know who you are and what you are called to do, you stop shrinking to fit insecure environments. That shift feels threatening to those who are still drifting. And that's okay. Authority always separates. It doesn't isolate out of pride. It simply stands firm. Ask yourself honestly, have I fully stepped into my calling, or am I still negotiating with it? Because the moment you stop negotiating and start executing, your spiritual posture changes. Chosen one, here is the part that should ignite something inside you. When you finish what heaven assigned you, acceleration begins. Not forced acceleration, not self-promoted momentum, divine acceleration. There is a spiritual law many people overlook. Completion attracts increase. When you prove faithful with what you were given, expansion follows. Look at Abraham. He was given a promise. But before the promise fully manifested, there were instructions. Leave your land. Leave familiarity. Leave comfort. When he obeyed step one, the covenant expanded. Obedience unlocked progression. Chosen one, many are praying for increase while postponing completion. They want bigger platforms without finishing small assignments. They want multiplication without stewardship. But heaven does not multiply what you neglect. It multiplies what you complete. Even in the parable of the talents told by Jesus Christ, the servants who handled their portion well were given more, not because they demanded it, because they proved capacity. Capacity grows through finishing. Right now, some of you are sitting on half-finished visions, partially written books, half-built businesses, unlaunched ministries, unspoken truths, and you keep waiting for the right moment. But momentum responds to movement. When you complete one level, clarity for the next level appears. Acceleration is not random speed. It is cumulative obedience. Years of preparation can suddenly look like overnight success, but it is not overnight. It is overflow. Chosen ones often experience delayed starts, followed by rapid elevation. Why? Because once alignment locks in, nothing inside you resists the blessing anymore. There is no self-sabotage, no divided loyalty, no hidden compromise. Completion creates internal agreement. And when your spirit, your discipline, and your calling agree, acceleration becomes natural. Here is something powerful. You don't need 10 new strategies. You need to finish what you started. That project you keep revisiting, that obedience step you keep postponing, that structure you keep rebuilding instead of finalizing. Finish it, because unfinished work drains energy. Every incomplete task occupies mental space. It steals focus quietly. But when you close loops, energy returns. Confidence increases. Clarity sharpens. Chosen one, Imagine entering the next season without unfinished assignments trailing behind you. No guilt, no delay, no internal hesitation, just forward movement. Acceleration also exposes readiness. When things start moving quickly, you must be stable. And stability comes from completion. Let me ask you something that may challenge you. If everything suddenly expanded tomorrow, would your current structure sustain it? If influence multiplied, would your character hold it? If opportunity flooded in, would your discipline manage it? Completion prepares you for speed, and speed is coming for those who finish. Chosen one, this is where everything comes together. You were not sent here to experiment with life. You were sent here to complete something. And the reason this message feels intense, personal, almost confrontational, is because your spirit recognizes truth when it hears it. You already know what your work is. It may not be fully mapped out, but you know the direction, you know the burden, you know the idea that won't leave you alone. You know the obedience step you keep postponing. And now the question is no longer, what is my calling? The question is, will I finish it? Look at Jesus Christ on the cross. His final words were not, I tried, not, I almost finished. He said, it is finished. Completion. That is power, not starting strong, not dreaming big, finishing. Chosen one, your life must echo that same conviction one day, not in ego, but in fulfillment. You do not want to reach the end of your life with half-built obedience, half-used gifts, half-lived courage. That is not your story. But understand this clearly. Finishing your work does not mean rushing recklessly. It means prioritizing correctly. You stop saying yes to everything. You stop scattering your energy. You stop shrinking your vision to make others comfortable. Even Joshua had to step forward after Moses. The assignment did not disappear because leadership changed. The mission still had to be completed, and God told him, be strong and courageous. Not talented, not popular, courageous. Chosen one, courage completes assignments. Talent starts them. Discipline sustains them. But courage finishes them. So what do you do starting today? First, identify your unfinished core work, not surface tasks. Core assignment. Is it writing, building, leading, healing, speaking truth? Be specific. Second, eliminate one major distraction immediately. 1, not 10. 1, that conversation, habit, or commitment that consistently pulls you away from alignment. Cut it. Third, create daily non-negotiable action. Small, consistent, focused action. Completion is not built in emotional bursts. It is built in disciplined repetition. Chosen one, urgency is not panic. Urgency is awareness. You feel it because your season is shifting, because your preparation has matured, because your excuses are expired. And here is the truth that should settle in your spirit. No one else can finish your work, not your friends, not your family, not your mentors. You. Heaven assigned it to you specifically. And when you finish it, something shifts permanently. Peace replaces pressure. Clarity replaces confusion. Authority replaces insecurity. Acceleration replaces stagnation. One day you will look back at this season and realize this was the turning point. This was when you stopped negotiating with your calling. This was when you chose completion over comfort. Chosen one, finish it. Not next year, not when it feels easier. Now, because the earth is waiting on what you carry, and history only remembers those who completed what they were sent to do.